Hello my dear friends, this is Prashant Mamani and I welcome all of you in special video lecture of one of your most important basic subject, that is geography. The number of this lecture is number 20. That means we have delivered 19 lectures, and of course number 20 is not the end. You will keep on getting lectures on geography. Now dear friends, the name of this lecture is Indian Climate, right? The name of this lecture is Indian Climate, and based on climate we have different seasons, so we are going to see seasons as well. Now before I move any further, I would like to say that dear friends, this is a basic lecture. When I say basic lecture, what do you understand? We have talked about the importance of basic lecture previously as well. But remember, there would be many things that you would be knowing. Like everyone knows that we have different seasons like winter, summer, monsoon, autumn, spring, right? It is a very simple thing. Even if you ask a kid going to school somewhere around in 5th or 6th standard, he or she would be able to tell you as well that we have these different seasons. But when you are preparing for civil services examination, you have to see, or you have to observe things from an altogether different perspective. You have to find the connections of these seasons in day-to-day life of the people of our country. You have to find whether it is having any impact on the economy. If yes, then what are the impact? Are the impacts are negative or positive? Things like that. So we are also going to, and most of the time we do it, right? My whole approach is to help you understand things for civil services examinations. Of course, it will help you in your day-to-day life as well. But you have to bear in mind that all the things that will be discussed in any basic lecture will be pertaining or relating to your civil services examination only. Now, as you can see on your screen, I have a picture. It is quite funny picture. Dear friends, if you observe things, right? Whilst I'm talking with you, I observed a very funny thing. I'm not sure whether you have observed it. Here, look in this picture here. This boy is, of course, this picture he's wearing a winter hat, and he's wearing a winter gloves as well. But the funny thing is, he's wearing a vest and a short. He should be wearing a fur coat because he's standing on a hill and it's snowy as well, right? So, and generally we find people smiling when it's raining. Of course, if it's too much rain, then it will make us sad, but a little bit of shower is always welcomed in our country. Anyways, now let's move ahead. Now remember, dear friends, that you would be able to download PDF of this lecture from our portal, and you will also find special video lectures for General Studies 1 to 4, special articles for General Studies 1 to 4, practice MCQs for 2017 prelims, and basic lectures on history, polity and economics on our portal. Now all these things that you can see on your screen is available and provided only to sincere subscribers, right? If you are just subscribing and if you are not using it, then better you pay for someone else who is sincerely preparing for civil services examination. So let's start. Now let's have a look at current events. Before I move any further, dear friends, I would request all of you to pause this video here for a couple of seconds and think about what have you read in newspapers, or what have you watched on television, of course in news, regarding weather or climate. in recent past. When I say recent past, I mean in last 10-15 days. I'm sure you guys have done this small exercise. The reason why I ask you to do this small exercise is, dear friends, this thing will help you to think. Right? I'm not saying that you are not thinking. Of course, we all are very bright, but thinking in a channelized manner, you will find, if you have not practiced this thing, then it is a bit difficult. Now remember, you have the software in your mind, you have the hardware, everything is there. The only thing is you have not used it, so you are not used to with it. I hope I'm quite clear that you have not used it. That's why you are not used to with it. But if you use it, then you will learn a new way of understanding things, because whenever it comes to our mind, we think in pictures, right? So let me remind you quickly that in recent past there are two big things about which we have discussed in detail in daily current affairs analysis. The first is heat wave, right? We have seen heat wave. I do remember a couple of days ago or a week ago, there was a very beautiful article on Times of India, I guess, and it was on how to fight or how to save ourselves in heat wave conditions. I have clearly requested and I have clearly stated as well that this article is a very good article because it is providing solutions, and apart from solutions, the way it was written, the language that was used in that article was simple to understand, easy to understand, right? And I also pointed out that you can use this sort of language for your essay writing. It is quite entertaining. When I say entertaining, I mean to say that it will engage the reader. At the same time, you are providing logical and valuable information as well. So of course there are no chances of you losing too much marks. But anyways, we are not discussing essay here, so I'll get back to the topic. So heat waves, right? Now the first thing that I believe that will pop up in your mind regarding heat wave is the number of deaths that are taking place in different parts of our country. Even Prime Minister in last Mann Ki Baat program, in the ending of that, whilst he was closing the Mann Ki Baat program, he said that, dear friends, it is hot outside, do prepare yourself and do prepare yourself regarding the heat that is outside. So brace yourself, he was basically saying, to be alert and to be proactive whilst dealing with heat. So this is the one thing, and the second thing is Indian monsoon, the prediction of Indian Meteorological Department. We have discussed this thing as well in detail, that Indian Meteorological Department said that the El Nino effect is going to be there, but it is going to be there in the late part of monsoon, so it will not have that much impact on our monsoon season. And at the same time, we have discussed about Indian Ocean Dipole in current affairs, in daily current affairs analysis. Now you would be thinking that why I am pointing out current affairs in this thing, why I'm trying to mix up things. I was supposed to teach you or discuss with you something regarding seasons. But that's the reason why I clearly stated, dear friends, that this lecture it is going to be most beneficial to those sincere candidates who are preparing for civil services examination. And when I say sincere, the words that I'm choosing, I'm very specific about the words. The reason is that a sincere aspirant will on daily basis read newspapers, right? He will read editorials, op-eds, comments. He would be looking for, or he would be either, when I say he, I'm also considering the female aspirants as well, right? So she would be listening to radio news, or she would be listening to analysis that is provided. I'm not saying only by UPSC IAS exams, only by me. There are chances that you would be happy or more apt with daily current affairs analysis provided by any other channel or any other professor or any other lecturer. But the thing is, it is about continuity, right? It is, if you go to the core of this thing, then you will find one thing in sincere candidate, that he or she would be continuous. He'd be reading newspapers, editorials, or he would be watching overview of newspapers and then reading the highlighted PDF file which is provided by UPSC IAS exams, and then editorials again, video plus you get highlighted PDF, and of course you would be watching analysis. And the reason why I emphasize this much on current affairs analysis, dear friends, is that 75% of your whole examination, right, 75% of your whole examination is current affairs. But it's not raw current affairs. That means you don't have to provide figures, and you have to provide an analysis. You have to demonstrate your understanding. Now your understanding will improve only if you are good with basic subjects, because then only you will know the good or bad effect of El Nino in India. Then only you will know whether Indian dipole is good or bad for India, right? So this is a small example of, by the end of this lecture, you will come to know that how much it is important to relate current affairs with your basic subject, right? So let's move ahead. Current events, we have talked about already that country is likely to receive normal monsoon rainfall this year. We have also read about heat waves, right? And it impacts, or it affects people because human beings are dying. It impacts agriculture, it impacts economy, it impacts flora and fauna. We have discussed forest fires are increasing in our country. Then there would be many species of birds and animals who would die because of the non-availability of water. Ocean temperatures are rising, things like that, etc., etc. Now the other basic thing that I would like to inform you is that weather. Now you do read about this word, right? That the weather is not good, weather is bad, etc., etc. But what exactly weather is? Very simple to understand. Weather is day-to-day changes in atmosphere. Imagine today you have sunshine, you have clear sky, right? And tomorrow you have a bit of clouds in your sky, then that would be a change. That is a minor change in weather. Then you might be having sunshine in the morning, right? Or in the afternoon, and the evening you may have a sort of rainfall. Then that again is a change in weather. We go through change in weather like in the morning time, particularly from 4 to 7, depending on which place of India you are living. If you are living in the tropical side or the torrid side, then the mornings are a bit cold, isn't it? But as you cross 10 a.m. you will start feeling a bit of heat, and of course from 12 to 5 it is unbearable, particularly around 2 to 5. So these are the changes that happens day to day, and they are known as change. You can call it as weather. Now what is climate? Basically climate is an average of 30 years of weather of any given place. So say for example you take weather of Madhya Pradesh, for example. Now if you have data of 30 years of weather, then you take out the average, then you come to a conclusion that the climate of Madhya Pradesh is hot, or the climate of Madhya Pradesh is cold or rainy, or you can say whatever, right? So this is a difference. Climate is an average of 30 years, whilst weather is a day-to-day thing. Now, before I take you to seasons of our country, remember the reason why we have different seasons. When I say we, I do not mean only India, I mean the whole world, is because of revolution of Earth around the sun. We have talked about this thing in detail. All those new students who are new with the way of my teaching, then I would request all of you to understand this lecture in detail. You have to check out the lecture on season, right? It is very easy to understand. I'm sure it is entertaining as well. When I say entertaining, I mean it will hold you up. So you will find, of course, it will boost your curiosity as well. So depending on the location of Earth around its orbit, it will have different season. And the reason we have different season in different parts is because the Earth is tilted, right? This is the tilted Earth. So when it is here, it is in June, 21st June, which is also World Yoga Day. So when it is here, you find that this part of Earth is close to sun compared to this part, right? So over here you will have, in the northern hemisphere, you will have summer. In the southern hemisphere, you will have winter. That means in Australia, in Australia and South Africa and all these parts, you will have winter, and over here you will have summer. Then when the Earth is over here, which is on 22nd December, now you can calculate the months after 6 months basically. So you will find that the southern part of our Earth, or southern hemisphere, is closer to sun compared to the winter part. So the southern hemisphere will have summer, and this takes place in December. So Christmas in Australia, the Santa Claus would be coming with shorts, right, and t-shirt rather than wearing a fur coat, because it is summer in Australia. So this is a small hint for you guys to go through it. Right now I will move ahead with all those students who have watched all the videos of geography, because all videos are in continuity. So winter season, broadly speaking, right, all the seasons which we are going to discuss here are the months. It's based on, broadly speaking, we know that we have a slight variation, but if we go by the books, then we find that winter is from December to February in our country. And what happens is, sun rays do not fall directly on this region, and that is the reason we have winter. Summer, after February we enter into March. So from March to May, sun rays fall more or less directly on this region, and that is the reason why we feel that we are living in a boiling cooker or an oven. At the moment I am feeling that I am living in oven. Monsoon, June to September. Now what happens in monsoon is that winds from Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea heads towards mainland, right? The winds are coming from Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, and they come to the land portion of our country. And of course these winds, as they are coming from, they are passing above the sea surface, right? They are passing above the water bodies, so naturally they carry moisture. So when they reach the land portion, we have rainfall. Now you'd be thinking that how this things works, how we have rainfall, etc. Then do not worry, your question or your curiosity I can understand, dear friends, right? But for time being, you can just remember these things, right? Just do not try to by heart this sort of stuff, right? It is of no importance at all. But Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, winds are coming, and winds coming from water bodies are naturally going to have moisture. If you I'm sure you have visited to different coastal area, and when you visit coastal area, when you are sitting on a beach, then you find that the winds that are coming from the water, right, from the sea, are naturally having moisture. You will feel a bit sticky as well, and the reason is because of too much of moisture. So in the same way you can understand this thing, and in future lecture of course we are going to discuss these things in detail. But when we'll talk about wind, how wind works, how they travel, etc., etc., at that point of time we will talk about these things in detail. But for now this is more than enough. And then we have autumn, that is October to November. Winds from mainland heads towards sea. Now this is different phenomena, right? Over here we saw that winds from the oceans are coming to, or the sea surface or the sea area are coming towards the mainland. But in autumn the winds from the land portion is going back to the sea. So this, in this season, particularly in autumn, states like Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh, right, they have a sort of rainfall, because whatever the moisture is left with the winds when they are trying to head towards Bay of Bengal or Arabian Sea, they will, particularly Bay of Bengal, then they will throw away all the rain they have, all the moisture they have in these two places. So they have rainfall, a bit of late rainfall, or you can say winter rainfall as well. Right, dear friends, so these are 4 different seasons. Now we will learn about climate. Now the climate of a place, dear friends, is affected by these 4 things, that is location. Now remember, we have talked about location. When I say location, I of course mean whether you are living in a torrid zone, or you are living in a temperate zone, or you are living in a frigid zone, or you would be living in both places. Like say for example our country, half portion of our country is in torrid zone and half portion is in temperate zone. There are many countries you will find having similar situation like India. There could be some countries, there are some countries who are totally in torrid zone. Say for example Sri Lanka. There are some countries who are partly in frigid zone and partly in temperate zone, right? So this is about location. Now altitude, that means height. So say for example Tibet, right? If you open your atlas book and if you locate Tibet, then you will find, we have talked about Tibet in plateau. We know that Tibet is a plateau area. It is like a tabletop area, and it has a height of around somewhere around 4,000 to 5,000 meters, right? So naturally it is higher in height or higher in altitude, so it is going to be a bit colder. The third thing is, dear friends, is distance from sea. Now you can of course, when I say altitude, then there are many examples, as we have talked in our previous lectures as well, that we have infinite variety of landforms in our planet Earth, right? But we have some major portion we have divided in either into plains or mountains or plateaus or coastal area. So distance from sea, if it is near to distance, predominantly mostly 200 kilometers, then it will have an effect of sea, right? But if it is far from the sea, then it would be more continental. So you have a place could be either coastal or a place could be continental, depending on its distance from sea. Then you have relief. Relief again means, as we have already talked about, whether it is plain, whether it is mountain, plateau. So these are 4 things that will have, or that will play a major role in deciding the climate of any given place. And the climate of India, dear friends, is broadly described as monsoon type climate, right? Monsoon type climate. So now let's check. Now, as we have understood what is climate, and we have also checked what are the 4 things that work or have impact on climate, or that decide the climate of any given place. Now we will check the impact of climate. Now, dear friends, for some of you, you may be thinking that I have skipped this portion. The reason I have done it, or I'm not going too much into detail in this thing, is because we have talked about these things in detail, right? Many things I have, it might not be in the written form, but I have talked about relief, altitude, location and distance from sea in different lectures. So here again I would like to emphasize that it is very important, dear friends, that you follow each and every lecture. If you are new to this lecture, if you are starting from lecture number 20, then I would request you to start from lecture number 1. Right? Start from the first lecture of geography, and then one by one. I do not mind if it takes 2 days or 5 days or 1 week. It depends on your capacity, but you should watch lectures from the start, right? And it is very important that you follow the series, because geography is like steps. One by one, you might, all the regular students, I'm sure you know exactly what I mean, that one by one we are taking steps, isn't it? We have started from a very basic thing, and now we are talking about climate on all these things. So, impact of climate. Now I'll give you some practical and realistic examples, right, which you generally won't find in books. Rabi crop. I have talked about you in daily current affairs analysis. Basically, Rabi crop is, dear friends, a crop of winter season, right? In short, you can understand all the crops that we grow in winter season are called Rabi crops. Now, if, say for example, we know that climate change is having some serious impact on different parts of the world, and if winter is not so good, or you can say that if we go through warm winter, I'm talking about India, that if we go through a warm winter, then it will have a very drastic impact on the production of temperature sensitive crop like wheat. Temperature sensitive crop like wheat. Important thing, dear friends, very important. Remember, now from this line you can understand that Rabi is a winter season and wheat is a Rabi crop. Rabi is a crop season of winter and wheat itself is a Rabi crop, right? And it is temperature sensitive. This sort of questions are asked in prelims examination. Wheat, kharif, rice, Rabi, etc. Right? This sort of course, we will find in detail that you will find that rice is also grown in Rabi, paddy is grown in Rabi season as well in different part of our country, but wheat is predominantly a Rabi crop. Moving on, if, say for example, if wheat production is not so good, or if in general Rabi crop production goes down, then rural people, right, the people who are doing farming, if the crop production is not so good, then naturally they won't be able to pay for the loan, they won't have money to spend, isn't it? So naturally they are not going to spend money for unnecessary items. Now, if they have less money to spend, and if they are not purchasing goods and services that are produced in urban areas, now we are talking about manufactured goods and services that are predominantly seen in urban area. then the products and services that are offered by urban companies will not find a demand in rural area. Now here, dear friends, those sort of basic things that we generally talk, or not basic, but I would say the facts, updated facts about which we talk in daily current affairs analysis, that helps you over here. Remember, a couple of days ago I told you that nearly 80%, 70 to 80% of Indian population is living in rural area. Second thing, where do you find big outlets of branded companies? Where do you find factories? Where do you find big hotels and other sort of services like mobile shops and computer shops and other things? If you go to a small village of our country, do you find them over there? Not at all. Are they produced over there? No. They are produced either in urban area. When I say urban area, I'm not saying that they are produced in heart of a city, but they are produced in the outskirts of a city. And then they travel to different parts of our country. And the other important thing that I told you about is that 50% plus population of our country is dependent on agriculture. So if there is a change in climate, then there is going to be, if there is a negative change, then negative outcome will be there in crop production. This will create a situation in which the farmer or the rural person will have less money to spend. That means the urban products demands, urban products and services demands will come down. And in short, you can say that it will impact our whole economy. Now this is the reason, dear friends, when you read papers like Business Standard or Economic Times, you find a small line over there. They are not printing papers for civil services aspirants, right? They're printing papers for a person who is riding an auto rickshaw to a person who is president or governor of a state or a country, right? So this is the range. Everyone is reading something and something in newspapers. But for civil services, you have to pick what is important for you. So when you read a line that less rainfall is going to have detrimental impact on our economy, or when you hear a finance minister or RBI governor saying that good monsoon is going to be good for our economy, then the hidden message is this thing. This is your basic understanding. And this much basic understanding is more than enough, right? Trust me, it is more than enough. You don't have to read books and books on economy. If you understand the basic things, right, and if you open the question papers, then as well you will find that if you know the basic things, and without understanding, you won't be able to remember the things that you read in that heavy books, right? So below average monsoon again has catastrophic effect on the lives of people and on the overall economy. Then I would like to throw a question. We have discussed that we have 4 seasons, isn't it? Predominantly 4 seasons in our country. But I see it in a totally different perspective. I believe that we are lucky to have these 4 different seasons in our country. Don't you think we are lucky? Can you find out some ways why we should feel good about? There are so many examples that I can throw. Because we have limited time, I have to sum up with some very basic examples. Like say for example, in winter, the person who is selling hot food will earn money, isn't it? It is his season. Samosas and all the hot foods. When I say hot, I mean both spicy and hot as well, right? May it be burger, pizza, anything you can add it. But hot food will be appreciated in winter season. The tea and coffee selling will see a rise. The demand of tea will rise in our country in winter season. Imagine the impact of a season in our country. You will find demand of winter clothes. The fashion will change altogether. In fact, your haircuts as well will change, isn't it? The creams that you are using, the items that you use, it will change, dear friends. That will create demand for different products and services. The whole economy. Isn't it beautiful? Then we have summer, in which there will be a drop in the demand of tea and coffee, but there will be a rise in the demand of cold drinks and air conditioners and fans. You will find that the nightlife, in winter time, you will find that in the night around 9 or 10, depending on which place you are living, you won't find people outside your house. But in the summertime, the police have to come out to send people to their home because they're loitering in the dark. So you will find people, boys would be hanging out, right? I have seen these things, and these are very practical examples which we are talking about. Again, you can apply the example which I have provided. The demand of all the products that you are using. You'd be purchasing deodorants and powders, Dermicool powders and whatever other powders. You'll find the advertisements in your TV channels will altogether change. When advertisement changes, dear friends, that means the advertisement company is having new contracts. That is, people are being busy, they are having jobs, isn't it? They will be in the job because of changing season. In the winter time, they have to design an advertisement for the winter, in summer for the summer, right? So I hope you are getting the message what I'm trying to say, that the whole economy, everyone makes something and something because of change in the season. Monsoon, small example, monsoon tourism. Now I'm not sure whether you have came across this thing, but people from foreign countries, they're quite excited about, there's a sort of craze in foreigners to visit India in monsoon season. We know it that in our culture as well, we call monsoon or rainfall as life giver. If you take any movie, right, from Mother India to Lagan, if you watch those movies, then you will find that rainfall will be cherished. But of course, too much rainfall is not good. It creates deaths as well in our country. But a little bit of adequate amount of rainfall is life giver. It gives life to all living beings on our country. Now, based on the season, we have different festivals, right? If you go deep into any festival, dear friends, you will find geography at its core. A couple of weeks ago, we had Baisakhi. We had other seasons in our Bihu in Assam. These seasons where these festivals were mentioned in news as well, isn't it? We have seen Prime Minister and President tweeting and congratulating people or sharing their greetings of the season. But have you ever imagined why you find Baisakh in this sort of month? Because, dear friends, somewhere you find, if you go to the core, if you try to understand the festival, you will find that in a country like India, from the history, we are engaged with agriculture. So your festivals will be located around harvesting time, because if there is a good harvest, then you have good money, you have food security, you have financial security. Then you can go and look for marriage, right? May it be yours or may it be your kids' marriage. So every marriage season is also designed in such a way that different parts of country have their harvesting season. So the food is available, demand and supply is maintained, things like that, right? If you go deeper and deeper, you will find that all the festivals are located or are based on geography of that particular place. And of course, when I say geography, I'm talking about climate, weather, everything. Generally climate. Right, dear friends? And with the last thing in today's discussion is festival driven economy. India is also a festival driven economy. We have different religion that are different people from different religious background in our country. And we know it very well that we have Diwali, we have Eid, we have Christmas, right? We have Cheti Chand, we have all different sort of religious and other agriculture and other sort of festivals, state-wise festivals, cultural festival. So we are a sort of agrarian economy, but at the same time we are festival driven economy as well, right? Now do try to understand different festivals. You would be from different states, so try to relate the things that we have discussed here today with festival driven economy. Next time, whenever there is Holi or any other festival, do try to remember that we are lucky, everything is going around the season, and the other thing is festivals are good for economy because people spend money in festival time, right? Generally we have Indian culture is about saving money. We are famous for doing saving, and it is no harm at all in saving money. I'm not saying to be too stingy that you don't spend at all, even your necessary things, but a little bit of saving is good. After Japan, it is we rank second in sort of saving culture. But if any country is not going to be good for the economy of that country, right? So at the same time, if you are having different festivals, that people will spend money, right? With this,